This is the last lesson for Topic A. This is Module 6, Lesson 4 for 7th grade on solving for unknown angles using equations. So this is going to be a wrap-up of all the lessons we've been working on in this topic. So hopefully by now you kind of have an idea of all those angle rules and how things add up together. So here we go. Let's solve this problem here. The complement of an angle, well, I'm going to go ahead and underline that and put a 90 above it because I know complement means 90, of an angle is 4 times, so that's going to be 4x, the measurement of the angle. Find the measurement of the angle and its complement. So there must be two angles here. If one of them is 4x, that means the other one is just x. Now I know if I add those two together, they have to be complement, which means they have to add to 90 degrees. So x plus 4x gives me 5x equals 90. Divide by 5, and x equals 18. So one angle measure is 18, so we can call this angle 1. Angle 2 is 4 times bigger, so we're going to say 4 times 18, which is going to give me 72. So the second one is going to be, my pen just went kind of crazy there, 72 degrees. And there's your answer. Let's look at example 1. I'm going to scroll it up here so it's a little higher up. Got a couple things going here. So we need to find some measurements. So we need to solve for x, as you can see. So let's kind of start highlighting like we've been doing. I see that this whole measure here is 170. All right, this measurement here is 90, and I can tell that by the 90 square. This one here is 2x, and this one here is 6x. Now, if you look closely, I'm going to do this in black here, I actually have a set of vertical angles. This whole angle is equal to the size of this whole angle, missing those little slivers in between there. So I'm going to set it up as a vertical angle rule. So I'm going to say 2x plus 90 plus 6x is equal to 170 degrees. 2x plus 6x is going to give me 8x plus 90 equals 170. To get that x by itself, again, as you know, we need to subtract by 90 from both sides. That cancels, and I get 8x equals 80. 8 times what gives me 8x? That's going to give me 10. Now your answer is not just 10 because we had two different x's here. So we have 2 times 10, which is going to give me 20. And then we have 6 times 10, which is going to give me 60. And now you have solved for all your variables here. All right, we have this cool looking thing down here. Let me pull it up. Okay, same thing. We have vertical angles, and I can see that right away. We have this angle is going to be equal to this angle, so we're just going to set those equal to each other. We're going to say 3x equals x plus 64. Now this one's a little different because I'm not going to move a 64. I'm actually going to move the x. Now you don't want to move 3x because if you move 3x then you'll have nothing on this side of the equation. You have to keep things balanced. So I have to move this x. So what's the opposite of positive x? It would be negative x. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. Those x's cancel. So 3x minus x gives me 2x equals 64. 2 times what gives me 64? X is going to equal 32. All right, so we put this back into our equation. And again, I'm just going to, every once in a while, I like to pop up the calculator here just to help you guys out on what to type into the calculator. So we're going to say, we're going to solve first. 3 times 32. So come to your calculator. 3 times 32 equals 96. So we're going to say 96 here. And then we have 32 plus 64. And again, come over here. 32 plus 64 is going to give me 96. And that should make sense because They're vertical angles. They should be the same. That's a good way to check. All right, let's move on down. Exercise 1. Again, we're solving for x. And I see that I have this angle measure of 5x and this angle measure of x plus 132. So I'm going to let you solve for this one. You can see they are vertical angles. So you're going to set them up just like we did that last problem. And then I will work with you on example 2. So go ahead and pause the video. All right, example 2. We have a missing angle measure here, which we kind of need to know, all right? So we're gonna know that this angle measure here would also be the same as this angle measure here as well, okay? Now, before I can solve for this, let's just call this C for right now. Before I can solve for this, I have to find out what that angle measure is, and that would then give me the vertical angle measure for B. So I see that if I took 37 plus 43 plus this missing angle measure, I would get a straight angle, which would equal 180. So let's set that up. C plus 37 plus 43 is going to equal 180 degrees. So we add those two together. We get C equals, plus 80 equals 180 degrees. Now I want to get the C by itself, so I'm going to subtract 80 from both. Those cancel, and C equals 100. Now, if C is 100, so is B. And why? Because these guys are complementary of each other. So you kind of solve two things at once. Let's look at exercise 2. Exercise 2 has also some vertical angles, but they're a little bit hard to see at first. So I can see that I have a 90 here. Now, if I did 90 plus 80, I'd get the same as saying 95 plus B. All right, so I'm gonna let you solve that one. Since I kind of pointed it out to you, you're gonna set it up just like we did the last couple and solve for B. All right, and then I will meet you on example 3. Example 3. The measurement of an angle is 2/3 the measurement of its supplement. All right, well, we have a vocab word there, supplement being 180. Find the measure of an angle and its supplement. All right, I'm going to draw a picture for this one because I have some visual learners out there who kind of need to see some things with visuals. And especially if we're dealing with fractions. A fractional measurement of an angle can be very hard to see if I draw the picture. So let's break this up. I have an angle measurement of 2. And I picked 2 because my numerator is 2. So if I take those 2 and I make its supplement, or a supplemental angle, I should say, I need a denominator of 3. So I'm just kind of drawing a picture here. So you can kind of get a visual. Now, granted, these are all supposed to be the same size. How many do I completely have? So it's kind of a ratio. We did a ratio problem back in a previous lesson where we had like a 2 to 3. So this is, think of it like a ratio. We have a 2 to 3, which is a total of 5. Now, if I put all these together, I'm going to get 180 degrees. So if I have 5 units and they all add up to 180, I can say 5 units equals 180. So I can divide these. So 180 divided by 5, and I get 36. So that means each of these boxes are worth 36 degrees. All right. So how much do I have in this top portion? This top portion is going to be 36 plus 36, which gives me 72. And this bottom portion is going to be 36 plus 36 plus 36, which is going to give me 108. And so those are your measurements. 32 and then the 108 would give you the 180 degrees. So sometimes solving these with a visual can be a little bit easier than drawing the picture and trying to figure out what 2/3 of an angle measurement would be. All right, let's try another one. All right, now that we did that one, let's see if we can do it again. Now this time we have 1/4. So as you know, my angle is going to be the numerator. Okay, so my angle is 1 box because it's a 1. And then we have our supplement angle, which I'm just going to abbreviate, or no, excuse me, not supplement, complement angle. Let's try that again. I was so hung up on that last problem, I forgot that this one mentioned complement. So my complement angle, and I need 4 of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I know that when I add all of these up, I get it equal to 90 because we're talking about complement. Remember, complementary is 90. So again, how many units do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 units, which will equal 90. So I'm going to say 90 divided by 5, and I get 18. So each of these are worth 18. So how big is this top measure? 18. How big is this bottom measure? Well, 18 added 4 times gives me 72. And 72 plus 18 adds up to 90 degrees. All right, let's try the next one. Those are the only 2 that I had to draw visuals on just to make it a little bit easier. These next ones, we'll go ahead and just solve them straight out. All right, we have solving for x again. I can see right away that I have a measurement here that's not marked, and that's this 90-degree angle here. And I'm actually going to highlight that whole angle so we can see it because there is a line going down the middle of it. So this one's 90. This measure here is 29. And they want to know the measure of this whole thing. This whole thing is z. Try to make that a little straighter there. This whole thing is z. So we're solving for z. So what do I see? I see that if I did, well, I have a missing angle over here. Let's just call that x. If I said x plus this 90 plus this 29, I'd get 180. So let's start there. And I just added in my own variable there. So we're going to say x plus 90 plus 29 is going to give me a straight angle of 180 degrees. So I can add those 2 together. I get x plus 119 degrees equals 180. I'm going to subtract 119 from both sides of the equal sign. That cancels. And x equals 61. All right, so this measure over here will be 61. They didn't ask us to solve for that, but I kind of needed to have that in order to keep going forward. So sometimes you have to fill in blanks that aren't even asked for you to fill in. All right, so let me erase a little bit here so I can see what I'm really solving for. I'm just going to bring that off just real quick. Now, we just solved that this was 61 degrees. Okay. And if that's 61 degrees, then maybe I can include that to find out what this is. Well, let's see. This over here was a 90. So I could say that 90 plus this x of 61 could give me the same as z. So I could say x plus 90 equals z. So 61 plus 90 is going to be the same as z. So z is going to equal 151. So this whole thing here is 151. All right. I'm going to leave that very last one for you. You can work with it with a friend, of course, because that one can be a little bit intimidating, but it's really not so bad once you highlight. So take some time, go through and highlight what you have and try to break it up. And ultimately, you're solving for x. Now, remember that you have a 4x and a 5x. So you have to go back in and multiply those. Can't just give me the answer of x and call it a day. You have to go back in and fill those in. All right, so that ends this video tutorial.